Today we're covering Webshare in 2026, the cheapest proxies on the market, and whether they're actually good. Webshare occupies the extreme budget end of the proxy market, offering data center proxies from $0 to $3 IP in the free tier that requires no payment at all. With an 80 million IP pool and a simple API-first approach, Webshare appeals to developers and small teams who need proxy access at the lowest possible cost. The proxy market has a well-known principle: you get what you pay for. This review investigates where Webshare delivers value and where the ultra-low pricing creates problems that undermine the savings. Webshare has been operating since 2018, initially as a data center-only proxy provider, before expanding into residential and ISP proxies. The company operates with a lean, developer-focused approach, minimal sales process, self-service sign-up, API-first design, and aggressive pricing across all product lines. The free proxy tier is Webshare's most notable marketing tool and primary customer acquisition channel. By offering 10 free proxies to anyone who signs up, Webshare captures users who would otherwise never try a proxy service. This funnel has driven significant adoption, particularly among students, hobbyists, and developers building their first scraping projects. Many users start with the free tier and upgrade to paid plans as their needs grow. The company's approach is deliberately minimal: no account managers, no sales calls, no enterprise onboarding processes. Everything is self-service, from sign-up to proxy management to billing. This keeps costs low and enables the aggressive pricing, but it also means users who need hand-holding or custom solutions are on their own. Webshare does not publish detailed information about its residential IP sourcing methods, which is a concern for compliance-sensitive users who need to verify how IPs are obtained. Webshare's data center proxy offering is its strongest product and original focus. It supports shared and dedicated IP options, US, EU, and Asian data center locations, HTTPS and SOCKS 5 protocols, rotating and static configurations, a simple REST API for programmatic management, proxy list downloads in standard formats, and automatic replacement of non-functioning IPs. Webshare expanded into residential proxies to compete more broadly in the market. The residential pool includes approximately 80 million IPs with country and city targeting across 100+ countries, rotating and sticky sessions with configurable parameters, bandwidth-based billing, and HTTPS and SOCKS 5 support. The residential product is newer and less refined than the data center offering, with more variable pool quality and coverage than established residential providers deliver. Static ISP proxies are also available as a newer product line, offering residential-grade IPs on server infrastructure. Geographic coverage is more limited than competitors, focusing primarily on the US and a few European markets. The free tier gives you 10 proxies at no cost with no credit card required, 1 GB of bandwidth per month, US-only locations, shared IPs with all other free tier users, basic HTTPS support, and rate limiting to prevent abuse. The free tier's practical value is limited by the shared nature of the IPs. Because many users share the same proxies, these IPs are quickly flagged by anti-bot systems and appear on most proxy detection lists. For learning proxy concepts, testing code, or accessing geo-restricted content on lenient sites, the free tier is functional. Webshare's pricing is the most aggressive in the market, particularly for data center proxies, achieved through automation, minimal overhead, and shared infrastructure. There is no minimum contract, volume discounts apply at every tier, and billing is transparent with no hidden fees or surprise charges. At $0-$20 per IP for shared data center proxies, Webshare is cheaper than any mainstream competitor by a significant margin. 1,000 shared data center proxies cost $30 per month at Webshare, compared to $80 $120 per month at most competitors. Residential pricing at $250 per GB, at the highest tier, is competitive with mid-tier providers, though the quality difference should factor into the comparison. Performance is where Webshare's budget positioning becomes apparent. Data center proxies deliver good speed at 0.35s median, as expected for data center infrastructure. The success rates tell a more concerning story. 94.5% on general sites is below the industry standard of 97% plus, and 72% on protected sites means nearly 1 in 3 requests fails. The low IP quality score of 5.5 out of 10 indicates that a large portion of data center IPs appear on known proxy block lists. Residential proxies show better success rates at 95.8% on general sites and 82.5% on protected sites, because residential IPs are inherently more trusted. The 1.45's median response time is slow, and the P95 of 4.2s means 1 in 20 requests takes over 4 seconds. The 97.8% uptime translates to roughly 15 hours of downtime per month, significantly more than providers like Oxylabs at 99.99% or Bright Data at 99.9%. The IP quality score is the most concerning metric. A 5.5 out of 10 for data center means a significant portion of IPs have been flagged for suspicious activity or appear on known block lists. This is a direct consequence of shared pools at extremely low prices. When many users share the same IPs for aggressive scraping, bot activity, or account automation, those IPs get flagged faster. For the free tier specifically, testing showed success rates of approximately 60% on general sites and under 40% on protected sites. The free IPs are the most heavily shared and most frequently blocked. Webshare's pricing model creates a quality degradation cycle worth understanding. Low prices attract high volumes of users, including some who use proxies aggressively or abusively. These users cause IPs to get flagged and blacklisted faster, which reduces success rates for everyone sharing those IPs. Lower success rates mean users need more requests to achieve their goals, consuming more bandwidth, and generating more detection events, which further degrades pool quality. Dedicated data center proxies partially mitigate this cycle since you are the only user on those IPs, but shared pools in the free tier are most affected. On the positive side, no other mainstream proxy provider offers free proxies, making Webshare a genuine option for testing, learning, and development environments. At 0 to 3 per IP for shared data center, it is unmatched on price and enables use cases that are not viable with other providers on unprotected targets. The REST API is clean, well-documented, and easy to integrate. Sign-up is instant with no sales calls or minimum commitments. The 0.35's median data center response time is competitive with premium providers. The free and low-cost tiers make Webshare an excellent starting point for developers learning proxy technology and building proof-of-concept projects. Proxy list export in standard formats simplifies integration with third-party tools. On the negative side, 72% success on protected sites for data center and 82.5% for residential means frequent failures when scraping Amazon, Google, LinkedIn, or other well-defended targets, wasting bandwidth and time. Shared pools with aggressive users lead to faster blacklisting, and many Webshare IPs already appear on proxy detection lists. Residential performance is weak at 1.45's median response time, 97.8% uptime, and 4.2's P95.0. Geographic coverage reaches 100+ countries for residential versus 195 for bright data, with thin coverage in Asia, Africa, and South America. Webshare offers raw proxy access only, with no capture solving, JavaScript rendering, structured data extraction, or managed unblocking. Residential IP sourcing lacks transparency, which is a red flag for compliance-conscious organizations. Free users and shared users accelerate IP blacklisting across the entire pool. There are no SLAs, dedicated support, or compliance certifications, making Webshare unsuitable for organizations with vendor qualification requirements. Webshare is the right choice if you are just getting started with proxies, need cheap data center proxies for non-protected targets, build SEO tools for basic monitoring or rank tracking on less protected search engines, are a student or hobbyist using the free and low-cost tiers for learning and personal projects, need a developer-friendly REST API for programmatic proxy management, or are building a proof of concept before investing in a premium provider. Webshare is not suitable for scraping protected sites with anti-bot systems, production data pipelines that require high reliability, compliance-sensitive use cases, any scenario where success rates below 95% are unacceptable, or enterprises that need vendor SLAs and support guarantees. Or compared to IP Royal, both compete in the budget space. IP Royal offers better residential proxy quality at 97.2% versus 95.8% success, non-expiring traffic, and transparent ethical sourcing. Webshare is cheaper for data center proxies and offers the free tier. For residential proxies, IP Royal is the clearly better budget option. For the absolute cheapest data center access, Webshare wins. Compared to Smartproxy, Decodo, Smartproxy's residential proxies are significantly better on every metric at 99.86% versus 95.8% success, 0.63's versus 1.45's response time, and 99.7% versus 97.8% uptime. The price difference at $220 per GB versus $250 per GB at scale is minimal. For residential proxies, Smartproxy is overwhelmingly the better choice even for budget-conscious users who are only comparing the numbers. Or compared to Bright Data, these are not really competitors. Bright Data operates in an entirely different tier of performance, targeting, features, and pricing. The comparison only makes sense if you are deciding between barely functional, but free or cheap, versus enterprise-grade but expensive. Compared to Data Impulse, Data Impulse offers pay-as-you-go residential proxies with better pool quality at IP quality score 7.5 versus 6.5, and per-request billing. For budget residential proxies with better quality, Data Impulse is worth considering over Webshare's residential offering. The cheapest per GB or per IP price does not always result in the lowest total cost. Here is a practical example. If you need to scrape 50,000 pages from a moderately protected e-commerce site, Webshare Residential at $2.80 per GB with 82.5% success on protected sites requires approximately 60,606 requests to account for the 17.5% retry rate, consuming about 48.5 GB of bandwidth at 0.8 MB per page, for a total cost of around $135.80. Roughly 10,606 of those requests fail, wasting about $23.80 in bandwidth. The effective cost per successful page is $0.027. Smartproxy at 3.20 GB with 97.1% success on protected sites requires only about 51,494 requests, consuming about 41.2 GB, for a total cost of around $131. Only about 1,494 requests fail, wasting just $3.84 in bandwidth. The effective cost per successful page is $0.0264. Smartproxy actually costs less total despite the higher per GB rate because the higher success rate wastes less bandwidth on failed requests. This dynamic becomes more pronounced as target site protection increases. Webshare's pricing advantage is real for easy targets but evaporates on moderately to heavily protected sites. Webshare serves a specific and valid purpose, providing the cheapest possible proxy access for users who prioritize cost above all else. The free tier is genuinely useful for testing and learning. The data center proxies work adequately for unprotected targets at industry-low pricing. The developer-friendly API and self-service model remove all friction from getting started. The residential proxy product, with its below-average success rates, slow response times, questionable IP quality, and limited coverage, does not compete with even budget-tier providers like IP Royal for anything beyond the simplest use cases. Use Webshare to get started, learn the ropes, and validate your approach. Upgrade to a better provider when your work becomes production critical, or when you start targeting sites with any meaningful bot protection. The rating is 7.2 out of 10, the cheapest entry point to proxies with a genuinely useful free tier, but quality limitations are real and should set expectations accordingly. That wraps up today's deep dive into Webshare for 2026. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.